All right, and we should be live. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 157 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. Tonight, I am joined by a roundtable of several tournament organizers and owners to talk about what all actually goes into operating a tournament series. I am joined. These individuals have all been running events for quite a while. All of them host at least some events here in Texas. So I'm joined by Sasha Zucker, David Harden, Johnny Lukow, Mike Hinman, and Tom Cole. So, guys, thank you all for joining this evening. Looking forward to this. There's going to be, I think, a whole wealth of knowledge that each of you have to offer for this episode. We'll get started by this one's brought to us by Johnny's series, XTPL events. So first, we'll have some introductions. Could you please tell us your name, the series or multiple series that you operate? On average, how many players and divisions you see signed up for your events, and how long you personally have been running events. We'll start with Sasha.
Hey, everybody. I'm Sasha Zucker. I am here in San Antonio, Texas, and I run the San Antonio 3v3 paintball series, which actually started just this year. So pretty interesting to be on this particular panel with all these leaders in our sport. My events are very small by design, one-day events, beginner and novice, focused on beginner and novice players. We do have an open 3v3 X-Ball, which is the new hotness in paintball right now that I started out at the beginning of the year. I only have that if people can make it, and I have about 100 players usually on a given tournament.
All right. Thank you, Sasha. Up next, let's go to David.
David Harden. I'm here in Houston, Texas. I run Houston, Texas Paintball Series, and usually I run about 3 divisions from D4, D5, and I have a beginner division. I've been running for about 6 years. I do one-day events, and same as Sasha, I get about 100 players per event.
All right. Up next, Johnny.
My name is Johnny Lukow. I run the XTPL with my family. We generally get about 50 to 60 teams at the XTPLs, but that's broken down with like 3 different 3-man divisions with women, youth, and Challengers 3-man. And then we have the Challengers X-Ball and the Champions X-Ball as well. With the 7-mans and the Glow Ball Mech X's, those are probably 100 people, if not about 120 each time.
All right. Up next, Mike. I think you're muted there, Mike.
Mute. Sorry about that.
There you go.
I run WCPPL and USXBL, 4 events in each per year. USXBL, I think our last one in San Antonio was right around 100 teams, 23 mans, 80 X-ball. So whatever you want to call that, 900 on numbers. And then WCPL, 1,000 to 1,500 players per event. I think our big one this year was 140 some teams. Yeah, run SC Village. We have night ball going on tonight. Tons more events there. SC Village arena side. So what I do.
How long have you been doing this for, Mike?
WC now 17 years. As a part owner with my buddy Tom, sitting next to me with the NXL for a little bit until I realized that was way above my threshold and got out of the way of the madness. 17 years there. USXBL, what, year 3?
All right. And lastly, Tom Cole.
I run the, how's everybody doing? I run the NXL, NXL Europe, the ICPL. That's probably about it. That'll work. We ran in the NXL in the US. We ran about, I think we did 1,780 teams last year overall. We average about 280 teams at each event. The World Cup running just under 700. We run all divisions. And I've been running the NXL for about 11 years, but I've been running tournaments probably since 93, maybe somewhere in there. So long time.
Love it. Yeah, we got a lot of knowledge. And in this particular group, of individuals. I like that I was able to get all of you that have like different scopes, different objectives for your leagues that you run, from beginner to like the intermediate to the regional, and now as well as the national and international scenes. So for these questions, we have quite a few topics lined up. If you guys feel like you have something that you want to chime in for these, please go right ahead. But don't feel like you have to answer every single one of these questions. I know that we've got a lot of expertise here in this, and so I want to respect everybody's time. So we'll keep it flowing. So this question is brought to us by QBRofficial.com. So as far as the planning aspect for each event goes, about how far in advance are you starting the planning process and finalizing all of the details per event, and about how many calendar days of planning goes into each of your events?
I guess I can start because I'll be really quick. So because my events are so small, and they're always held at the same location, I start about a month in advance. So I'm coming up on my next event. So about next week or a week or two is when I'm going to start really asking people to show up, and trying to get people to really promote the tournament, get people to sign up. Usually more than a month is paintball teams aren't organized enough to commit, especially in the beginner and novice division. And so I do just a little bit of work every day, and then the real work starts about 1 to 2 days before the event, when I have to set up the fields, and that's and then of course the day of the event is the most work.
Yeah, I guess I can speak on that too, since I have a smaller tournament series. So as far as setting up, usually about a month and a half. That includes like promotional material, and like Sasha mentioned, some of the teams aren't as organized, so it's like reaching out to teams and trying to get people signed up, and newer players signed up for APPA and stuff like that. But a lot of the heavy hitting comes to the weekend of, set up the morning of, and things like that.
I can jump in on the bigger side. So we typically will have our season tentatively decided by the 4th event of the season. No one really sees that because we still have some vetting to do on our end, and we try and get it out to the other leagues first, just to make sure they can kind of work around that or fit, or make sure we're not stepping on something that they absolutely need. And then we typically start at the beginning of the season, starting on the next year. Like, we're already working on 2027. So our stuff, typically we're moving a lot of stuff, so we typically start pretty well in advance. As far as the actual event concerns, I mean, we're there typically the Thursday before the event, so that's how long it takes to set up, and we're typically out of there on Thursday after the event. We do like a punch out or a punch list at the end of it, because we're usually at venues. So on that Thursday is when we do the walkthrough to make sure it's been cleaned up to their specs. In the past, we've had problems where like we left thinking it was fine and they didn't think it was fine. How's that? Sort of like cleaning the house for your mom. You felt it was good. She came back in and was like, yeah, place is horrible. So that's kind of to avoid those back charges and stuff that we were getting occasionally. We now have like a walkthrough process. So we're there on site probably 16 days altogether, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in next. Like Tom said, I mean, Tom's the biggest one there is, right? And rightfully so. There's somewhat of a pecking order, I think we got to say out loud, right? Like, Tom's dates go first. Then, like, Tom's always been very transparent with me on his dates long before they get released to the public. So then we can do our dates. Like, I know on our side, we've reached out to Johnny and JD and the Fit family and like given them our dates, what we think all the NXL dates are going to be, so everybody can try to work together. Like, our last USXBL was beginning July, and our next one won't be until October, trying to get as wide a berth as possible for Tom and company coming into town. Because I'm sure one of the many topics we're going to get into is money's tight, right? Like, we can't say we're all going to work together and grow paintball by not being real about people. There's constraints on money, right? So trying to everybody fit together, November, Tom does World Cup. The season pretty much ends there. December, January are horrible months for running paintball tournaments. with Christmas coming and Christmas passing through the Super Bowl, and then the season really picks back up. So on our side, you know, we have like Ryan Polito's full time for us, working on promotion, video, constant, you know, same with like Tom, I'm sure they have social media guys constantly putting content out, trying to keep paintball at the top of the list. You know, like when we go to Fit for our next event, I'm sure we'll be there for 6 days on setup, tear down, so on and so forth. So that's our schedule with it.
Yeah, for us, our smaller events like the 7-mans and the glows, for the most part, we really only advertise about 2 weeks out from those, sometimes only a week. And then the setup is the week of. The X-ball events with the 3-man, that's generally about a month out. We do a little bit more advertising and then a little bit more prep work, but generally it's about the week of is when you do all the setup.
Yeah, so it sounds like the main theme is that the promotion aspect of this definitely requires several weeks in advance, and then as you get into the larger events, there's a lot more like actually physically moving things like bunker sets or nets, or like in Tom's case, the air compressors, or like all of these tents that you have, let alone like the personnel themselves coordinating traveling, flights, hotels. It definitely gets much bigger and many more things that you have to think about as you get up there. So like let's talk a little bit more about all of those things that are on your checklists. So this one's brought to us by Sasha's event, the San Antonio 3v3 series. So what are those categories that you have to account for? Obviously, the constants for everybody, you have to think about paint, you have to think about the referees, you have to think about the calendar. But what are some of the other things on your checklist?
Yeah, I mean, since I sponsored this question, I'll go first, right? Seriously, though, I mean, you just basically nailed it, because there's not a whole, for me, there's not a whole lot, because I'm really small, sort of a one-man show with some friends and volunteers. But I mean, I always have the venue, X Factor Paintball Park, which is an incredible tournament facility for paintball. And Mike talked about picking dates, and I wait. I mean, the pecking order is right. Like, I waited till Tom and Mike pick their dates, and then I put my dates and slot them in, you know, at least 2 weeks away if I can from their events, because, you know, just because of all the things you consider, like basically money. Like, people have to have enough money to play, and some of the people are going to play my events and might play these other events, but not really. But still, the other thing is referees. So I depend on the higher divisional players to referee, mainly Christian, you, and the tight ends, and a few other people that are available or certified. And so I can't have them be at USXBL and NXL. So I have to make sure that the schedule's right for that. And I'm really lucky that I have lots of high-level tournament players at X Factor who have taken the NXL referee training. So I've got really good referees right there in my community. But the other thing that I work on that I think the other people, maybe Johnny does, but he's got different situations, prizes. So I know that XTPL gives out lots of fun prizes. I don't give out big cash. My prices are really low as far as entry fees. And so when I do prize packages, you know, I have to think about like what I want to do, something fun and different. So for every event I do, Baked by Celia's cakes, you know, so they do that. And then we do, you know, I gave away ions at one event that I built myself and so forth. So there was art by Riddle's Art, you know, so I try to find ways to give back, you know, to the players using our community, all our great creators and makers and people. For the upcoming NXL, for the next event, I'm going to go to the Lone Star Open, and I'm going to make some loot boxes for each division. So I'm going to go around to all the vendors and just buy lots of small fun things that I can put in a box, and the winning teams will just get a box of cool stuff. That's actually been the most stressful thing, is figuring out what the prizes would be. Not the most stressful thing, but you know, it ends up being the most complicated because I overcomplicate for myself. But
yeah, prizes definitely are sometimes a point of topic online. I guess one of the things that the players think of whenever they're, I guess, looking for something to talk about online, even though prizes are like ultimately not that big of a planning thing. It's it doesn't take, you know, several weeks or communicating logistics to figure out like, hey, here are the medals, here are the ribbons, here's the trophy at the end of the season. That's about it. But the prizes themselves seem to be like a disproportionately large thing that a lot of players out there tend to focus on. So
let me I have great comment. I think, was it Tom? Was it you that said that the people that complain the most about prizes are the ones not winning the tournaments?
I would say in general, the people complaining the most are the people not winning. Matter of fact, we've found that most of them aren't even playing. They just like to go online and complain. It's almost like that's their hobby, right? We play paintball, we run paintball events. They go online and troll, I guess.
I haven't gone trolling, but I will say that, like, after my first event, I had some people tell me that I need to be giving out like big cash prizes, and I think that is one issue in the sport at the entry level. You know, that there's this expectation that you're immediately, if you win, you're gonna get all this money, and that people don't realize it means that the price of everything is going to go up, right? In my case, I don't buy and sell the paint. Like X Factor handles the paint. I get like a small, you know, I'm very grateful to get a small cut of that. That helps me stay in business. Yeah, I think that I could go on, but I think that it's definitely a topic worth discussing. I'm interested to hear what other people say.
I'll just give you a tidbit. In my experience, and better prizes are always better, right? Everybody loves big prizes. Who doesn't, right? But it doesn't really influence consumer behavior, right? So in the end, like I always use the 2-man that we did. You know, we gave away $100,000, I believe. It's been a while, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was $100,000 or $50,000, something like that, a ridiculous amount of money for a 2-player team. And we had significantly less people play that than played any other division that we had. And that was, the entry was $300. So you played $300 and could win $50,000, let's say. And everyone chose not to sign up. And so that gave me a big indicator that people do not choose prize packages. I ran the UWL for a while, and we gave away these cool flags that were like, you know, they call them the handkerchiefs or something. And during that time, Valken ran a tournament, I believe was like a $25,000 first prize. And I still had more teams fly from California, which the event that they had was hosted in California, fly to Chicago to play our event than played that event. So I believe it just comes down to prestige and how fun the event is to play is why people choose the events more often than money. But people online would have you differ.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of getting back to like all of the logistics that you have to deal with, Tom, I'm definitely interested to hear like all of the extra things that you have to consider that some of the other tournament series, when they're just hosted like at like a local park, kind of have already built in.
Well, for my end, I look at like critical failure, right? Let's use that term, like the amount of stuff that a critical failure, right? So like when I'm jealous of Mike, right, which is often, I get jealous of Mike because in the end, he's playing at a venue, so his critical failures are less than mine, right? So he could, the event's going to happen, right? He's working with Giovanni or PB Fit or someone that's a paintball guy, whereas I'm working with people I call it the real world, right, who don't really care about the success of the event as much as we would. And so that's scary, right? If they say that we don't have the proper fire marshal permits or a food permit or whatever craziness they come up with, which happens constantly in my life, where they're like, we have to report, we have to do like these emergency awareness plans or emergency situation plans and stuff like that, and sometimes they go into deep dives into that stuff, and that's stressful because if they turn us down, then the event doesn't happen. And obviously we've been lucky to never have that happen, but that's the scary stuff on our end that most people probably don't think about is the permitting and dealing with all that stuff. Like we just did the Disney thing, and literally if the inspector wouldn't have approved that thing, we wouldn't have had the event. They would have aired Atlantic City's last year event. And I made a joke earlier about Johnny giving me a hard time. He'd have really given me a hard time. We flew all the way to Orlando, and we went ahead and showed Aftershock playing Atlantic City last year instead of putting them on TV. You know what I mean? So that's stressful. That's what makes my hair gray.
Yeah, from my point of view, I get to work with some of the best fields there. Are literally the gold standard, whatever you want to call it, a field's X factor, fit, right? Like fit is our home in Texas. Like whatever JD needs, JD is going to make it happen, right? And same with Johnny and the rest of the family. Like we get to deal our home field back here at SC Village, right? We need another field, we build another field. It's just that simple. Like what Tom's dealing with is on a whole different scale. He's got to move 3 trucks. People tell him, why aren't you on the West Coast? Like just simple math on that, 3,000 miles each way at 3 something a mile to get it moved each direction. Like his move, like it's not even a comparison, like what I do to what he does to what others do. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of steps to it, right? Bunkers, just every little thing that you're talking about, right? Everybody deals with it in here. And like he talked about critical failure. And I think the rest of us probably just look at like risk management, right? Like I'm sure I can speak for every promoter in here. We'd love to do more and bigger and cooler, and whatever we did last year, we'd love to do another. The problem is you give away all these cash prizes and you get to the end of it. Like you realize like, my labor, 30, 40, 50,000 with flights, hotels, labor, 30,000 in prizes. All of a sudden $100,000 is gone real quick. Field owners paying them something because doing a regional style, or like the local guys in here, we want to make sure we're supporting those local fields, right? And helping them build their infrastructure. Like X Factor had 2 fields before we came, right? And now I think Christian, you guys got 3, right?
You got 3.
And that really helped your guys' region by getting that extra field. So people aren't going to other fields. X Factor is now really another booming mecca in paintball, right? So there's just a lot of little things that we all do and money that goes back into. I think, you talk about people complaining, like they truly have no clue what goes on. Like, I'm the second biggest, right? And it's not even close. So people always compare me to Tom. Like, what would you do if you were Tom? I always said if I had to walk in his shoes, I'd just take them off, right? Because like that is literally the worst job there is. And like, it's cool to have the prestige of running tournaments, but when 99% of what goes wrong, right, is never your focus, but the 1% that goes wrong is always your focus. You're just always afraid of like what's going to come next, right? Like he's got trucks to move. Tracy and I are driving trucks 1,500 miles each way, tire blowouts, axles, like the crazy stories, right? So there's just, I promise the public that's out there that thinks everybody, like my WC league, when we have 140 or 50 teams, they're like, you're making $100,000 off of this. And I'm like, man, $100,000 of monopoly money. Like it's tough, and another one nobody wants to talk about is like all the other podcasts that are out there makes paintball out like it's going, like our industry is in a scary place right now, right? Our whole economy is right now. Like if anybody where you're living out there is, it's great where you're at, shoot me a message on the side here so we can all move to where you're at, because people are broke as a joke right now. Like all of us are feeling the hit, right? So that's where we struggle with risk management to like, I'm sure Tom would love to be in Vegas, right? I'm sure Tom would love to be in Huntington Beach. Better yet, fuck Vegas. Like we'll just head to Huntington Beach. Yeah. But like there's no, Kingman's not giving $150,000 to the NPPL for their $79 retail gun. Like them days are long over. We're watching paint companies go bankrupt to the tune of plus $10 million. And we're talking about like, it's not happening, dude. This isn't the stock market. We're heading in the wrong direction. Other side of that is paintball is never going to go anywhere. I truly believe that. We just have to be realistic in what we're doing. And like everybody here, whether it's Sasha from the 3-man up to Tom with the NXL, everybody has to make a game plan that's going to be feasible, right? You can't go bankrupt year 1 or 2 or 3 or 17 or whatever it is. You have to make a game plan that you're consistent, like what Sasha's doing. And same like with David and Johnny and everybody in Texas. Like Texas, we have more teams on the West Coast, but we had more D5 X-ball teams in Texas than I do in the WC. And it was by 10 teams, 30 in Texas, 20 in WC. That tells me Texas's first step, the local level, all 3 guys that are on here are helping to grow that. But it doesn't help Texas out if we bankrupt a bunch of leagues out because these guys are giving away insane prizes that are unrealistic. But the problem becomes once one promoter gives away 10,000, now we all set the bar to that. And it's like the NFL, the money just keeps going up and up and up, and it's just unrealistic.
Right, for sure. And we'll definitely talk more on like kind of the scope of everybody's events, because I think that is something that is worth talking about, is like what what is the goal of your league? And do you feel like you are forced to are you expanding on the scope, or is there scope creep that's happening with the different leagues, or is everybody like really I don't want to say staying in your lane, but like having more of like a top down view on the scene as a whole and how the different leagues interact with each other there? Getting to David or Johnny, do you guys have any other things to chime in as far as like what is on your checklist leading up to an event?
I mean, I guess it's on a smaller level. So there were three big paintball fields in Houston, and so I was kind of bouncing around each one. So for me, it was always, I ran into an issue where there was a thunderstorm before and ripped the netting down. I had to move venues and things of that nature. We've had a power outage at a field, the compressor, we were trying to hook it up to a generator and all this other kind of stuff. So those things kind of go on in the background that a lot of people don't see. And so like we've been, kind of blessed with making sure that we can always run these events when I can, kind of situation. So.
Yeah, for me, the main things to account for are refs, head refs, competent scorekeepers that can run the system and everything. And then outside of that, for like how we run our tournaments, it's usually pro players that we need that can either coach challengers X-ball teams, play with the champions teams, or if it's the glow or the 7-man, also play with them, and because everything has to be even. So making sure I have plenty of those players and where I have to basically make the cutoff for the tournament so it's all fair.
Yeah, and I do want to get more into your series specifically, Johnny, and this one's brought to us by the APC Splat Zone Trinity 3-man. So with the XTPL events being such a massive brand and being a unique one where you're not just hosting like one kind of event, you've got the Champs Challengers and Texas Cup, you've got the Super Sevens, you've got the Mech X, you've got the Glow Ball, and you guys host around 20 events a year, all things saying. So how in your approach have you either made the planning process more efficient or streamlined things to be able to tackle all of those events?
Well, kind of what the guys touched on earlier. So Tom sets his dates. We're already kind of in talks with Mike, and then where the USXBL and the WC are doing their dates. And then we try to plan our X-ball tournaments and then try to fill all the gaps for the 7-man and all the glow tournaments. It's a lot. We generally get it all done in one night. We just go and buy a calendar and just get after it and make sure we get everyone else in the families extra dates, whatever they got to do, whether they're getting married or whatever. But we write everything down and just try to make it all work out.
And I think for you, I'm sure it helps a little bit that the field itself is also within the family. So there's some things that are, I guess, not have to be as part of the negotiating table.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of turnkey. It's nice.
All right. So this one's brought to us by Mariachi Águilas de Oro. So a big disconnect, speaking of the price, is how much the costs are when everything adds up to run one of these things. And paintball as a sport, or at least the way that we do it, has a lot of overhead, much more than I think the general public is aware of. And it only grows exponentially as you get bigger and bigger events where you have to worry about those extra things like bringing your own bunker sets or bringing your own nets or your air compressor, or like Tom said, like getting permits to sell food and alcohol, hiring, parking lot attendants. All of those things add up. So as much as you are willing to tell us, which if you want to abstain, like, please feel free. I'm not trying to out anybody's numbers out here, but give us an idea of like how big these other costs all add up to.
You jumping on that one, Tom?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So, I mean, just to give you the scope of us, right? So we're 280 man days to build and tear down an event, not including reffing. So that's how much staff we have, right? And so, then you just add that by hotel nights, right? So we have 280 hotel nights that we have to book, right? So when people, that's one of my favorite things. People are like, how expensive the hotels were? I had to book 7 hotels. I'm like, yeah, try booking 280 of them bad boys when they're super expensive. You know what I mean? So, so that's really the scope, right? It's a lot. And one of the mistakes we've made, and we're all in this, right? Matter of fact, this room probably more than most, is we did this because we love the game of paintball. So we keep adding stuff to it to make it cooler, in our opinions. And then it just makes it more expensive in the long run. Like, and I'll use webcast, for example, right? So our webcast is roughly $1 million a year, right? That's what it costs us to put that webcast on a year, right? And all of us have been forced to add a webcast. And if you look at it, really not that many people are watching everybody's webcasts, but they cost a fortune to run. And they're almost now become necessary to run events as promoters. So we've added that cost. And I mean, I look at these things, let's say there's 500 people watching, right? I mean, these webcasts are expensive to put on, even at the small level. And so we keep adding these things that add cost. And a lot of times the promoters are like, we'll just eat that cost because we want to improve the experience. But at some point in time, it's unsustainable, right? And so that's the important thing that I try and tell the promoters that are asking me for advice is you have to make money. It has to be sustainable. Because what happens is, and you see it, is I'm out there working and you're building the event and you're not making any money, but you're doing it because you want everybody to be happy, and they are not going to be happy. So it does not matter how much work you put in it. Your consumer's not going to be happy when they get a bad call or the weather's bad or they're just in a bad mood, and then they're going to motherfuck you, if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah.
And then you are going to tell them, fuck off and pack your stuff up and never do it again. And I've seen it happen hundreds of times in our industry. Because I argue with these people all the time. They're like, I just want it to be good for the game. I'm like, yeah, what's good for the game is you being able to do this again next year, right? If you really have some product that's going to be really change the game of paintball or whatever, you have whatever your pizzazz is, it has to be able to survive. And you got to stop doing it. Love of the game is the reason why you do it, but you got to make enough to get you past the fuck yous, right?
Wow, this is the strongest language I've ever heard from Tom Cole on any podcast. I've heard many of your interviews.
Mike started it. If I get around Mike, me and Mike cuss more.
Yeah, but the truth is what Tom's saying is the same reason companies are going bankrupt. Why are paint companies going bankrupt? We're not going to name names, but we all know who I'm talking about. Because the consumer has beaten them down on pricing so much, right? That people are selling $20-some cases of paint that clearly by bankruptcy numbers are costing them $10 a case more to make if you amortize the losses across the volume of paint. I have an in on making paint because I also did that. But like we're getting to this point where like Tom's saying people have we should be doing this, we should be doing that. Like where's the sponsorship money coming from? What gun companies like Eclipse is doing okay. Everybody else is struggling. You know what I mean? There's really, I think everybody thinks the same with getting to pro, right? Like Johnny, one of the greatest pro teams there is right now, right? Like, it's not like fucking Samsung pulled up to his house with a $300,000 check and was like, you know what? All that hard work you guys put in, like the article I just wrote about him, here's your 300 grand. It's like, nobody's calling to give more money when it's leagues. Tom, I'm sure, is over there squeezing money out of people to get his sponsorship. So just, I think what the end consumer needs to understand is everybody, whether you're national, regional, or local, that are doing this, there is so many hidden costs. And you talked about costs. Here's a simple number. I can say on the regional and national level, there's no way any staff member is making less than $200 a day. And then if you factor in, like Tom said, the hotel rooms, our league, like in Texas, we flew in 30 some guys to our last event and women scorekeepers. $250 a flight, like we pay for those. Just do the math. It quickly adds up, right?
And there's so few referees, like, and this is something that I don't experience, but it happened this weekend. Like we said before, me and Mike really try and avoid each other's event dates. We put some time into thinking about that, and this ESPN thing came up, and it happened to be on his event date. And it's an opportunity we can't pass up. And it was a small event, so I didn't think it was going to really affect things. But I mean, just staffing wise, I had trouble getting staffing because they'd already committed to Mike, right? So that's how small a community that we have, that to run a 1 hour 3-man in Florida across the entire country of the United States, I had people that had already committed to Mike. So that's how, intertwined all of this stuff is.
Yeah. I mean, we're all using a lot of the same ref bodies, right? Not
Same
the
people
full,
building it. Same
Totally.
everybody.
Yeah, the referee question is definitely something I want to talk about, and we'll talk about it now actually while we're on it. So this one brought to us by BEMRAPS. I mean, the amount of referees required to do the proper job in X-ball. I mean, on the pro field, there's 14 referees right now. That's almost 140% referee compared to the number of players that are on the field.
Yeah, it's like the NFL runs with 5? You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, no, we've created. I always say I've been dealt the worst deck of cards ever, right? Because not only do we have 9 million paintballs being shot at each other, they're people are going to cheat if they get the opportunity, and there's a lot of angles, there's a lot of things going on. And so you're just going to miss stuff. So you end up having more referees, and that's just added cost. It'd be a lot cheaper for everybody if people just stop cheating. That would be my new mantra. If you guys would stop cheating, we could have a lot less referees. And
here's the craziest part of that. Check this out. I'm doing a Scrimfest event. 2 guys cheat each other. Last point, whatever. They're shaking hands right behind me in the scorekeeper thing, and they're talking to each other, Mike and Tom. Yeah, you got me. We're making fun of cheating each other. And then they blame the referees. They're literally like, if the fucking refs had done their job, and I'm, me, like, I'm really trying not to unload on this dude. And it's a scrim fest, $40 entry, $30 cases of paint. Like, we're making no money. LA Collision is out there, the semi-pro team, doing it because they have to for the field. But it shows the culture, like Tom's talking about. He can have 14 refs on the pro field. Only thing the media guys are going to highlight is Mouse or whoever it is back in the day wiping a hit off or whoever it is. Everybody cheats, by the way. Everybody.
Probably Mouse. It was probably Mouse.
I think it was
But
Mouse.
you know what I'm saying? Like, then everybody's going to talk down about how bad the pro referees are, when in all reality, until we change something in the rule book, that, like, Trozen and I were talking at Cincinnati, and he's like, what if we had a rule? I think Trozen and I sound what if ideas off each other. Like, if we had like real evidence of a guy wiping a hit, right? Ref misses it, you catch a game suspension the next tournament. Because until something like that happens, and I'm talking like legit wiping hits, it's just going to keep happening. Every player is going to MF the promoter. Like, we're all in on it or something like that, which, as for us as promoters, you're just like, man, 17 years in, I don't even know how to respond to we're in on it. You know what I mean? Just center punch that dude in the goggles and it's over that quick. You know what I mean? But if people understood the whole reffing side of it, it's the toughest job in the world.
For all of y'all, as far as the reffing question and potentially increasing the pool of refs to draw from, what are your approaches? Are you, like, I know in Sasha's case, you reach out to my team. I've got a few guys that have taken the NXL class. We bring in a few others to fill out the staff, and we kind of like position everybody strategically so we can not only help those that are less experienced as much as we can, but also bring in new players, give them a taste of what it is to ref, help build them up so that they can become future referees. So for either David or Johnny, like, are you guys seeing the same thing at your events?
Yeah, I mean, we hold a lot of tournaments. So basically we kind of work new refs up through the glow ball, and then I get them reffing in the 7-man, and then they transition to 3-man where there's actual prizes, and it's a little bit more competitive because people have their ego attached to their own team name. And then outside of that, then it goes up to X-ball and whatever. But generally with the glows and the 7, I'm able to get a lot of new people reffing, and then the good ones stick around. And now we've developed a nice little group that I don't even have to send out a text message about a tournament. They're just, hey, I'm coming. I'm like, all right, it's nice.
I would say from my end, we get a lot of people that come in and ask, and we give them an opportunity to do it. But usually I try to go for higher division players, so D2 and up, maybe semi-pro guys. But the thing about it is too, is like, because we're such a small community, it's one of those things where, you know, just like Mike and Tom have issues with getting referees because they, you know, ref in both leagues. You know, my guys also want to play the NXL or they want to play WC. And so like, I have to, you know, work around that kind of situation too. And sometimes you have to fill in an additional local guy and not have that high end referee. So.
Yeah, certainly. So before we move on, I realize I kind of skipped over the cost question for some of you guys kind of in the middle of it. So did anybody else have anything they wanted to chime in as far as the event costs before we move on?
I could say, I think one reason why I'm happy to be on this show is I want to sort of get it out there that running a 3-on-3 series or even a tournament is not really, if you have a field to play at and you have someone that can get, you know, help you get paint at the local field, like there's not a lot of cost involved, you know, like I don't have buzzers. I don't have a scoreboard. I bought some cheap tablets on Amazon to run the software. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on the PB League software at some point. And I, you know, occasionally I have to buy like office supplies, some folding tables, a pop-up tent, like all really inexpensive. And like everything that I need to run my league is in my closet behind me in a couple totes. It's crazy when I run my tournaments. It's crazy to think about what Tom and Mike have to go through, or any of you guys that are doing these much bigger events. But the most unexpected costs I've had are things I didn't think about when I started. Was I had to like make flags for the refs because they were just using like yellow and red microfibers they found or something, and I had to. One time a speaker fell over and I had to replace that. So there's stuff that you don't think about, but fortunately, I don't have to worry about like tractor trailers or hurricanes or anything.
I guess I can chime in on this too. So because I was traveling between fields in Houston, I actually have a small trailer that I towed with my truck, and so like, you know, we would go to events and we wouldn't have enough staging, so I had to go out and buy additional tables. We didn't have pits when I started XBall, so I bought tents and tables to create a makeshift pit area. You know, the buzzer system. In those things like that. And so like these are things that, you know, coming up from doing 3-man and trying to dabble in 5-man X-ball, you know, some things you don't think about in additional cost that way. It just kind of comes hit you and you know, you just got to deal with it. So.
I mean, the cost part is the redundancy, right? Even if like David's got a scoreboard, one scoreboard doesn't work. One's none, two's one, like everything you have to have in so much redundancy. I mean, we've all seen Tom's Boneyard at the NXL where there's piles of scoreboards. They break all the time. Like those things are tough. And that's being nice, right? Like I think we carry 12 scoreboards with us at what, $4,000 a piece to run 3 or 4 fields. And even then we're flying oldest from Bratislava or wherever he's from to LA. Like just, it's real though. Like even the buzzers, the Bluetooth and the concede buttons. What is the new set of those? $1,700, and they break all the time. Like there's just a lot of cost.
Yeah. Even if you run a tournament without all the buzzers and everything, say they are all broke, you're still $2,500 just for the refs and the scorekeeper.
Yeah. A day.
Yeah. Per day.
Per field.
Personnel.
That's really,
it all multiplies together really quickly.
Yeah, personnel.
Well, that's a real number though, Johnny said. And that's assuming you're not paying for any like if you're a local guy where you can get one field of refs that are like living at their own house. If you have to cover hotel rooms, like Tom said, that number jumps up. If we're flying 7 of those 11 or 12 people with the scorekeeper and whoever else, flights $250 a piece, like it goes up quick.
Refs don't like sleeping together. Players are more likely to sleep in the same bed. Refs, for whatever reason, they don't want to.
And think about the refs. Like Tom said this years ago in a meeting we were in. Like our referees stand on their feet for what, 10 to 12 hours a day. There's no sport you're on your feet being a referee like you are in paintball.
Oh yeah.
Plus getting shot 200 times and then getting paid, if you're lucky, $200. Like without them, they're the unsung heroes, right? And then you want to give them a raise, I'm 100% with you. But unlike our country, we can't just keep writing checks and they keep cashing, right? Like as league owners, the money's got to come from somewhere. And I say it to teams all the time. We can raise entry fees $300 and get 4 more refs on the field for you guys, but nobody wants to pay the money. So you run into an issue.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I was reffing at the Houston 3v3 this past weekend, and there's 6 of us, and we ref like games went 10 hours, all in one day. And that's in Houston, where the weather is not the kindest, which I know David knows all about. It's not a fun experience to be a ref, especially for that long. And when on top of that, you're seem to be on your own team and everybody else is trying to play against, well, you with the peanut gallery, and everybody else not too happy with your decision, no matter which way you go with it. So I do think it is important to cover, like Sasha said, as far as the expenses go, it is doable, especially if you're trying to start up a 3-man league, or even smaller than that, if you're trying to do like a 1v1 thing similar to what Hormesis has been doing as of late. Those are great places to start, and to keep your costs low, still have fun events, bring in a few staff members here and there, and start to build up your community and your player base. But those are definitely much more achievable than some people think, as long as you have the skills, the soft skills there to do the planning and the other things that are required to do it right. Which kind of speaking of those skills, this one's brought to us by 71 Designs. So what are the skills that you think you either came into these roles with or developed over time that you rely on?
You need to hire the right people for the right jobs and delegate really well.
Delegation. For example, if you need referees, you hire Christian Smith to be the ultimate ref, and you make it his job to hire all the referees, so I don't even have to worry about it. And then I just pay them all and get them Jimmy John's to eat for lunch. Done.
I make a very good lightning rod of hate, apparently, at some of these events.
Yeah, but I mean, you signed up for it, dude. So, it's like this in every sport. Like they were talking about people hating the referees, like every sport. I mean, have you seen that? You go on like Instagram or whatever, you'll see videos of yet another, little league umpire who like walks off the game because the parents are yelling at him. So he or she just like leaves and is like, I'm done being an umpire, and that's it. It's all the way up to the NBA, where the referees are always getting blamed for calling fouls that shouldn't have happened, right? But to answer your question, also, I think, in my job, I'm a manager, and it just turned out to be pretty much the same thing. Like I tell other people what to do, and then hope they do it. And then if they do it well, I take the credit. And if something goes wrong, I try to find someone to blame. Other than that, I'm also, I spent years setting up layouts at X Factor, and I was able to, I know how to do that really pretty well. And that's the main thing that I take on, because ain't nobody wants to go out there and swing a hammer for 4 hours. It's some nasty, hard work.
I'll jump in. I think I came in. I'd like to think I'm pretty good at numbers, so I've done the time analytics of like how long these games run. If they're gonna run fast, or how long the day's gonna be, kind of situation. Also, like for me specifically, buying paint. I'm buying the paint myself, and so it's one of those situations where I got to go, well, I know how many teams, I know about how much teams are going to shoot, and I have to order paint accordingly, because I can't, put 200 cases in my house. I might have the space, but I wouldn't want to make a maze in my house about it. So that's one thing for me, for sure.
I would say my trait that has gotten me through all this is I'm optimistic, and I don't take things too personal. There's, matter of fact, at least half the people on this call have said mean things to me at some point. So you just roll with it, right? They're just caught up in the moment, and they don't really, it is what it is, right? That we've all, I've been a player, right? I was horrible to my referees. Like Dan Perez still brings it up to this day when I'm like, why is the player doing that? He's like, you should have heard what you said to me back in the day. So, I just let that kind of stuff roll off my back a little bit, and I stay optimistic and kind of want to keep pushing the needle forward or the boulder forward. I know sometimes it gets depressing, right? You get down a little bit because people online are wearing you out about your name changes or something. But you just got to roll back up and just kind of make it go, right? Because in my experience, the people with all the answers very rarely come up with the solution, right? People online always can point out everything that they would have, could have, should have done if they would have had the opportunity, and they all really do have the opportunity. So they should just get out there and do it. So I think my thing is I just stay optimistic and I stay pretty happy.
Mike, you got anything you want to chime in on this one?
Perseverance. I mean, the whole story of our sport, right? If you don't give up and you keep plugging away, and I mean, I don't know if a budget really works, right? Like, so much stuff happens during an event, stuff breaks, crazy stuff comes up, blower. I mean, you just name it. Like, I know every guy in here is every event. There's some cost where you're just like, and you don't get upset about it, right? Like Tom, you just kind of roll with the punches, but just perseverance, right? I think if you come into it with, like when I came into it was because the NPPL folded. We had nothing left out here. So we needed something. I put my money where my mouth was and stepped into it. But if you're going to come into it now thinking like you're going to make a bunch of money or you're going to feed your ego to be the guy, it's going to change your outlook. I promise how you come in and how you come out of this thing will not be the same. It's a lot of, even Tom, right? Like the worst seat in the house, like just constantly catching hand grenades. You know what I mean? And I think at the end of the day, all of us are trying to really better the sport. And without all three levels here, it does not go forward. But it's just tough. Like there's so much negativity out there these days. It's definitely tough. So I just think you got to be I mean, everything Tom said, right? You just got to kind of let stuff bounce off. But by saying that, then Tom doesn't care, right? And it's like, wouldn't be doing this if none of us cared. If we didn't care, we wouldn't be doing this. There's so many other things that many of us could be doing that would probably better our lives. But there's a passion project for everybody who does it. Every promoter got to start with a passion project, right?
For sure.
Yep.
So this one's brought to us by Colt Roberts and Paintball Kumite. So there are lots of challenges that come with running these events. And I know a couple of you guys said the skill that you wanted to highlight was the ability to delegate tasks. So tell us more about the teams or the employees that you work with that help to break that up into much more achievable goals. And how big are your teams that you're working with, and what are the tasks that either you do yourself versus the stuff that you delegate?
I'll start. I think for me, because I'm mostly a one-man show, I think I lean a lot on friends and family and local people here too. So like my girlfriend sells paint. We've got a great community here in Houston of people that help out. Something that as far as delegation is concerned, that's helped me out a lot is kind of delegating specific roles for, people. So you have your scorekeeper, you have your referees, and they essentially talk to each other all day. So I do something along the lines of like, I give all of the chronographs, the scorekeeper, binder, referee jerseys, and things like that to the scorekeeper, and then he can delegate those things out to head referees and stuff like that. Also, like your runners or people that are helping out, like calling teams and stuff like that, having them always equipped with like current schedules and being on top of like where we are right now, because there are a ton of people, especially at this level, that are like, am I up next? I know I heard my name, but I don't know when. And so that's kind of helped out a lot easier. But you will always, especially at the promoter level, because of course you have to know how to do everything at this level. I have people come up and say, did you see that? No, I was actually selling paint, or I was moving something, or whatever the situation is. So delegation is very key, but you will always have those questions come up your way.
All right. Anybody else? How big are the teams that you're working with, and what are the stuff that you delegate out?
Jump on that one, Tom.
I mean, I'm lucky. I have a dream team, right? I have Camille that's been doing this since the dawn of time. I have who we call Fatty. His real name's Matthew. He's been building fields all over the planet forever. I have Jason Trozen, who is the commissioner and the guy that I point the finger to when most people are mad. And then I have Dan Perez, who runs the referees on the divisional side, who I also point the finger to when people are mad. I've had to learn to not be the guy that's always trying to solve all the problems, especially the playing problems. So I point those off to those people. We have a team of people in Europe, right? So we have Laurent, who used to run the Millennium. We have Barry Fogel, who used to run the Millennium, and Chelsea, who is the daughter over there. And then we have our CFO, and then we have CFO Kevin Fillers, Dave Painters, just come on board to do our retail sales at the events, like the beer and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm lucky. I have a dream team of people that have all been doing this for a long time and love the game. I can't, that sort of it's good. It's a lot of people though. I mean, it's definitely a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, on my side, there's three of us that sit at the top of this thing, right? Myself, my wife, Tracy, we all know Big Trey, and then Ryan Polito, that's our social media promotions guy, live stream. For us this year, we thought it would be good to try to live stream every field at all of our events. So whether you're our top guys or your D6 beginning guys, families can tune in for free, watch their guys play. So that's where that starts. But there are a lot of our employees, like Tom said, crossover, right? Like Roderick, that's the NXL pro field scorekeepers, our IT guy that does all of our scoreboard setup. If anybody ever needs a guy, if you're getting to that point, please reach out to Roderick. Alicia is probably our person that is in charge of procurement of refs. We have a chat, USXBL, WCPPL referee chat, where any referees are allowed to get in on that. And if you want to work events or NXL, like we've always been open with Dan and Tom, like any of our ref body, we're glad to send them their way or let them be part of it. And I mean, that's basically our team. So that's what we have on our side. But there's every league out there, I'm sure, from local to the top. There's so many unsung heroes that make this thing happen across the board, right? So referees, like there's head refs, like Tom's league, 8, 10, 12 fields. There's guys down on those bottom fields that a lot of us never see that are really making it happen for paintball. And a lot of people sacrifice a lot to really make this thing go round. So
I want to chime in, even at my level. Like the only reason I felt like, okay, I can do this is because I've been playing here for over a decade, in tournaments and everything. And I finally know everybody and have tons of friends and people I've played with and against for years. And I know Alex Martinez and Todd Green at the field, who's the manager, and Jeff Wechter, who is the guy who buys the paint. And he's got a guy that shows up at 7 a.m. and sells the paint for me, so I don't have to worry about that. And I've got my friend Bert, Bands by Bert or Bert Prince on Instagram, who not only makes prizes for me, but he's been my scorekeeper from the beginning. I had to train him to do the scoring. Someone mentioned scoring. I think, David, you mentioned scoring, and holy shit, like getting someone to figure that out, that's an ordeal when you get that. And if they screw that up, you better believe that's something that players will be really pissed about if the scores are messed up. So, that is all of that is stuff that I count on other people showing up and just, putting in the work. And I couldn't have done it without people. I mean, I'm paying people, obviously, like I'm giving them a stipend, even at my small level, and sandwiches, but they're really volunteering, and I couldn't do it without the same as Tom or Mike or Johnny or David. I've even got my 12-year-old showed up and was doing registration. He's working for me. It's a family business,
Yeah, my ex-wife, we were like going through the divorce papers, and I was like, I'm down at this event. Why don't you just swing by and I'll sign the papers? And she's like, absolutely not. You will put me to work in 3 seconds. And I'm like, yes, put everybody to work.
Yeah, I mean, many guys that have been to my events have seen my youngest son's on the paint truck, right? You got to have somebody trustworthy up there handing out paint. But also there's a lot of us, like if I need help, I can reach out to Tom, right? Like dude always answers my calls. Sasha, when you started, a lot of advice came through our pipeline, your direction, I believe. Yeah, on the 3-man thing. And I think there's a lot of, I think one good thing for our whole community is for people that want to learn and like get in on this, there's a lot of people like all of us, you know, we're putting up lights at SC. I'm on the phone with JD left and right, getting invaluable information from him. So I think our community is really robust, and there's a lot of decades and centuries of knowledge out there that we can all reach out to one another if need be and be able to help each other out. Right.
Yeah, definitely. So Tom, I know we're right here, right at an hour. How are you on time? Do you want to keep going, or are there any other final words?
Going.
All right. Do you have any other final things you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I would just give that advice to anybody that's wanting to do the tournament thing. It's you really got to have buy-in from the family, whoever you have with you, right? I think everybody here is lucky that their significant others or their family or whatever's all involved. My wife is deeply involved, right? She goes to all the events. I'll come downstairs. She'll be watching a podcast or doing something, you know. So that makes it so much easier to do it when you're not, you know, leaving or to go do something that people at home don't want you to do, whether it's kids or whatever. That's my wife calling me now. So that's an important part of it. Just make it like a family thing. I know the locale's got everybody there. I have one of my favorite videos. I took a picture of his parents, like when they won the first event, right? I was standing behind with my iPhone filming it, you know, and they were just so damn excited. Obviously, I don't post anything on social media, so no one's ever going to see it, but I have it.
I got it right here, Tom.
Do you? Did I post it?
No, I think you sent it to me.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So, yeah. So, that stuff's important, you know, having the family involved and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll leave it at that. Yeah, we have an event in Brazil this weekend, so we will. I leave tomorrow morning early, and I am so far behind it is not even funny.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time that you did take out of this for us, Tom, and safe travels. Hope the event goes well.
No problem. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. See you, Tom.
All right, guys.
All right, y'all. So. Continuing on, so we talked a little bit about like the things that you have to plan for, and what Mike said earlier, like the redundancies that you have to have. I want to talk about the contingency plans that you guys have to have in place for either if things go wrong, things break, something like completely out of left field happens at your field. You have to be ready for it all. So what are those situations that you have to have plans for? And this one's brought to us by Jared Sherman, pro player for X Factor, and his website, texanhemp.com.
I don't run anything that electronic that can't be powered off a battery. I noticed that Mike had generators this year at the tournament X Factor because the previous year the power kept going out like in the middle of a point, and it was pretty horrible experience to be up there in the booth trying to explain to Mike. I was just watching, but why the power wasn't out. So that's definitely, you know, electricity is definitely needed to run these events. So that's something you have to think about.
Yeah, I mean, what Sasha's talking about is 2 Sundays in a row at X Factor, we've had a crazy like flash flood level drop of rain, and then it dries right out and we're good again. And both times the main field went down. I think it popped the circuit breaker, went down. So this year we were ready with a generator. Like we had contingencies. If something like this happens on a field, we immediately shut down, move the generator in, turn it on, a whole new fresh circuit into the scoreboard system. I think we were up within 10 minutes and back on the road again. But I mean, like I said, the scoreboards, I saw somebody in the chat made a mention about the scoreboards. There's only one company that makes scoreboards right now. They're out of Eastern Europe. Oldest. Again, he has a really good product. My opinion is I think Oldest made a product that's good. He's an engineer and probably doesn't want to hear, as many engineers don't, that there could be some revisions to the product that might make it easier. Like Roderick that I'm talking about had one opened up. It was speaking Klingon. We couldn't tell any of the numbers. And he opened it up, the amount of like ribbon wire in that thing. I was like, fucking screw that thing back together. We literally, I mean, we have 12 boards to run 3 or 4 fields. And there's times we're down to our last board. So you talk about redundancy. Most people can't afford $4,000 boards and to have 50 grand of them in a carriage, right? To get 4 fields off the ground. I mean, it's so bad with those things. We've said we almost need like at Fit or X Factor the ability to hang two side by side. So the second one goes down, we can go right into the other one and keep it going. Just tough, you know, like Fit. I mean, Johnny, how many compressors do you guys have? 3, 4 over there?
Yeah, we have 3 all the time.
I heard JD make a comment, right? And it sticks to me this day with SC Village. Like SC Village paintball field is secondary. We make compressed air first. Like you have to have so many compressors. And same with Tom, right? Tom, I believe, has 4 or 5 massive compressors in that semi they have that alternate. So they're not putting too much wear and tear. God forbid 1 or 2 goes down, he can still run the event. Because who does Tom call, right? Like you can't go to Home Depot for one of those bad boys.
Yeah.
So just redundancy, right? Everything you do, I mean, whether it's Sasha with a 3-man, right? Talking about whether it's walkie-talkies, everything is in redundancy.
I can make an announcement tonight for San Antonio 3v3 series. I've toyed with the idea of getting a scoreboard, and now I can say firmly that I will never purchase scoreboards.
Well, I have one, and to Mike's point, I've actually opened up one of the scoreboards and changed several ribbon cables to get it back working. So yeah, it's rough.
And there's just no place to go to get them fixed. That's the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe all this now has an LED panel coming out for next year, and hopefully at some point that'll be a far easier thing for us to use, and hopefully we can find cheaper LED panel options that hopefully are easier for everybody out there to use, because it's just cost prohibitive right now.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just like equipment that is required to run events. That's not even thinking of other situations like, hey, what if someone needs medical attention at the field? Then you have to have plans for that. Or any sort of weather related issues, which, like I've said before, if you want to have some crazy weather, the fastest way to do that is to host a paintball tournament, because that will happen without fail. It seems like there's a lot of other situations. Like, hey, what happens if like something happens with the paint? Like you get a bad batch. Like I know for the larger events, like for you, Mike, and for you, Johnny, like you all probably have enough paint on hand to be able to get around that. But for Sasha or David, like if you get a bad skid, then that's your entire event supply. So having like backups, like where can we get paint at short notice? I've definitely seen people having to figure that out kind of on the fly. And those are just like one of the many things that could go wrong. But you have to think of it all.
Yeah. I guess as far as for me, like contingency plan, I've been lucky enough to not have to deal with things going down during the tournament, like compressors or anything like that. I've been running generators or a generator for, I don't know, 4+ years, because I've run into that issue before. As far as paint is concerned, I can big shout out to John Jackson at Pro Edge. There have been several instances where I've gotten midway through the tournament and I'm just like, I'm going to need some paint. And, I can call up somebody that I can, drive down and get a couple of boxes of paint kind of situation. So it's just one of those things. Like it's really difficult at any level, but it's very, it's something you just have to plan for, and you have to know the people and things of that nature. To Sasha's point, it's a small community and you have to rely on your friends to get things done. So.
Definitely. All right. So we're here towards the end. I've got 1 or 2 more questions, and everybody that's tuning in online, thank you for tuning in. If you got any questions for any of these guys, please get them in the chat and we'll get to them. So this one's brought to us by another one of Johnny's brands. We got Hydra is bringing us this one. So as great of events that all of you guys put on, improvements and innovations are something that's constantly being asked for. So what evolutions to your events have you all implemented over the years to continue delivering great experiences?
I'll say at my level, I think it kind of, echoes throughout the whole, local, regional, and national level. I think we all look at different formats. I think we all look at, we've, had the situation where limited paint or 4v4, 2v2, 3-man X ball is now the big thing, like Sasha said. So it's just one of those things, like that's kind of, you have to be ahead of the curve to kind of, satisfy the taste of something new and innovative, especially in this sport. So.
I mean, doing the 3v3 X ball thing I don't think it was my original idea. I'd heard about other people doing it, but the thing that I noticed about in our sport is that you get people who are rank out of the local scene, right? They can't compete just in their, and what other sport is there? Like, the thing that got me into it was I shouldn't have to drive to another city to play a 3-on-3, a one-day event with my friends and go home. Like, you have to do that in almost I don't think any other sport, right? The 3-on-3 was only really being offered at Waxahachie, I guess Houston, like all these other far locations. So I wanted to have a division where just the locals could play, anyone could play. And we didn't make the last event because it was too close to another event, but it turned out to be, I would say, successful so far, and has had a lot of participation from people that normally wouldn't play. And I've been waiting to brag about this, but 2 of the people that played the last Open 3v3 that I had are now going to be playing on X Factor at this next event after being retired or not having a team. It was announced that, I don't think I'm breaking any news, that Nico Hyde is going to be on X Factor. So I've heard. It was announced on the Spick and Span show. I don't know how reliable sources. It's the rumor I'm hearing. And of course, Jared Sherman made the team and was considered, announced by Maddie Marshall, to be like a rookie beginner who'd played at the local 3-on-3, and then got Alex Martinez saw him and put him on the team, which I don't know if it was exactly what happened, but I did hear from a reliable source. But I think that, just the whole idea here is to in order to feed into Mike's league and even Johnny's league, is to have an opportunity for people to experience tournament paintball like they see on the webcast, like they see Major League Paintball, and have that experience and get hooked. And you can't really do that if competing involves driving to another city and staying in a hotel and spending a ton of money and then getting destroyed by these even Division 5 level X-ball teams that, like, gunners who train almost like professionals. I wanted to have, I think the real innovation, we need to get back to having more of these local 3-man or 3v3, inexpensive events where there's not big money prizes. But that does take, people who are not making their living at paintball. I think, like, I can charge the prices that I do because this is not my main job like it is for Tom or even Johnny. David, I don't know what your situation is, but Mike, I know you do this is like pretty much full time, right? Along with some other businesses that you run. So you need people that are like, the innovation, I think, is going to happen in this sport at getting back to the basics, getting back to the real grassroots of just letting people who have never played a tournament have a chance to come in and have that experience, while also giving opportunity for them to compete alongside, like, the local experienced, pros or retired pros that still want to be able to have fun with their friends in one day and not have it be a big expense and whatnot. All right, I'm off my soapbox. Thanks.
Well,
crazy.
Kind of on that, we do a lot of that with XTPL. Like, for the most part, we're constantly looking for different ways to innovate the game and not just kind of keep putting out the same thing that's already out there, that's kind of been put forth by the NXL. And then most leagues will just kind of follow all the divisions, how it's done. So, like, even with the X-ball side of it, which is much more competitive, the way we do the champs and the challengers is trying to make a league for those APPA casualties, if that makes sense. Like, there's those people who get into D5 X-ball and they do halfway decent, and then they end up ranking up to D4, but they never won anything. That's where that concept came up from for the challengers X-ball, is to give those guys that chance to get their first win in that division. Because what we generally will see is, once teams are trying really hard and they keep falling short, not a lot of people have the grit to just keep on going. So we had to come up with different ways to almost give those players a second chance that just missed out on it for whatever reason, with the Challengers 3-man and the Challengers X-ball, to kind of give them that taste of a win. And when you're getting these people that first win, like they play paintball for at least another year, and then ideally they get another one, and then they keep going. But if you don't have that little bit of success after you spend all that money every weekend and like you fully commit as a player, it's hard to keep playing by yourself, let alone keep a team together. And then outside of that, we had to start coming up with ways to like, how do we keep people playing tournament paintball after, their team breaks up? And sometimes it's not even a bad reason that they break up. Sometimes people just get a job and they can't work, or they have a kid, or just life happens, but they still want to play, but all their friends don't play anymore. And that's kind of where the Mech X and the Glow Ball and the 7-mans kind of come forward. So we're able to keep those players playing that competitive style and get that hunger out of it, but they can't necessarily practice every weekend. And it's also an easy way for the brand new person who's never played tournament paintball, but they want to come out and they don't have to go through that whole process of buying a gun or joining a team and doing the committed practices. It's an easy way to get that feeling of playing tournament paintball. And then what we've seen is normally those people will actually start transitioning and coming out to our weekend play from it. So like our Mech X's and the 7-mans have even done a better job than our 3-mans have as far as converting that weekend warrior to the tournament scene. And we have a few more ideas up our sleeves that we're going to try, just different format changes and playing around to make it fun. But yeah. Beer league paintball.
My only complaint, Johnny, about your league is that it's too far away and I can't go play all your events.
No, I get that. No one holds that against you whatsoever.
I would just
that bullet train going up 35.
I just love to be out there doing all those things.
We would like to try to travel and maybe throw some of those tournaments everywhere else. It's really hard finding time with the weekends because we also all run the field. So it's hard for us to step away.
Yeah, that's where like my comment earlier about like the scope creep kind of comes back in. Like there's definitely feels like, oh, I can do this. There's more things that I feel like I can do, but like to leave room for tournament series like Sasha's series to go in and fill that niche that's not being filled in is I feel like very necessary. And I know I think I've talked to every single one of you guys about this where and I wish that I had gotten to this question before Tom Cole had to head out. But as far as looking like at the top down approach for paintball, having those the lower barriers of entry for those first time players and those casual players to get in, and we all think that like multiple day events is a barrier, which it certainly is, but equipment is just as much of a barrier. Like having to buy even just like a basic setup, like let's say you're getting like the entry level either EMEC or like, well, I guess for us it would be like an ETHA and plus like a basic hopper, a basic mask, a basic air tank. All of the like your beginner setup is going to run you $600 at least just to get like the basic level stuff. So that is no small cost, and that's just like your ticket to get in, let alone the paint, the practice, the time. Time is another big barrier. So I think having those easier and easier entry points is something that I think the industry as a whole needs to start thinking about and getting more creative on how to lower those barriers to get more people in and have completely different experiences. Like not all of your products need to cater to the same target audience.
Well, here's the number we know, right? So the first D6 3-man was MSXL. Aaron at MSXL, he's also the Sup Air rep. He started doing the D6 3-man first of all the regional leagues and even really focusing on it local. And his analytics were over 57% the first year played D5 X-ball the next year. So we now know as an industry, by getting D6 players in, we start them into this process of becoming X-ball guys. And if over 50% convert, that's a really solid conversion rate. And like Sasha said, we shouldn't be giving prizes down there. At WC one year, we gave away so much money in D5, and Chris said this, and a lot of people can throw stones Chris's way. Maybe he deserves them, maybe he doesn't. But he literally said, you're paying people to sandbag. And I thought he was crazy when he said that. And then I catch a team at the end of the season that legit had a completely BS roster. They had faked their APPA. Anthony had become Tony. The card doesn't get caught at NXL or WC. The guy's got the series championship, and now you've cheated a bunch of teams out of it. So if you do give a bunch of money down low, but it's also tough because like at the X Factor event, we have 30 teams down there. So you look at it as a promoter, you're like, man, I want to send some money down to this division because there's a lot of teams in there. But ultimately, if it becomes so comfortable for them in D5 and the prize difference is only $1,000 the next division up, they're like, I'll forego the $1,000. I'd rather whoop everybody's ass and take the money down here. And it's tough, like I think every promoter in here would love to cut back on prizes and at the same time probably cut back on entry fees because we all know the cheaper we make it in general, the more people will play it, right? But it becomes a point where, I mean, even our D6 3-man, I see the messages pop up like, what are the prizes? Why aren't we getting cash? It's just, honestly, we've done it both ways. And the best thing for us is to have a very cheap, low cost. It doesn't need to be a crazy extreme beginner event to get people in and have them playing paintball. And then like Sasha said, maybe you want to have an open division where guys can come back and play paintball. But to Johnny's point, Johnny and them, that's a great idea, like the champs and challengers, because the problem you run into is if you have to play fit every weekend in your division and these dudes are winning all the tournaments, a lot of teams are just like, man, we can't beat them. But if I know the team that won the last event now is out of the way, I think a lot of those lower teams have a belief like, man, well, they beat us last time, but if they weren't there, maybe we could have gone all the way. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But the belief that they can actually win, because if people never win, I bet you, what do you think it is? 2 years, 3 years, and a vast majority in 2 years are just like, if they never make a Sunday, never have a chance, they just give up on it. So I think for our sport, there's got to be working top to bottom, Tom, down through us, down through whoever wants to be any part. It's not like we have to force everybody to be on the same page, but there has to be, like our whole industry right now, right? Like you talk about John at Pro Edge, one of the bigger stores there is in America. Every store right now is saying, like, I guarantee everybody this. You can ask Johnny and them have the Hydra line. Sales are not through the roof right now. And we're not seeing a lot of new players cycling in or enough to really move the needle, right? So the only way I think that happens is probably the Sasha and everybody in here level at the local level. A lot of effort's probably got to be put into that for us to see this sport really boom up, because it's a fun sport. We all know we love it. It's fun as hell to play paintball, right? It's something, especially as a lot of the men, right? Like there's something, since we were kids, we were letting these things fly at each other. And with paintballs, we can actually see when they land. But I think as an industry, we absolutely have to be helping, like on the West Coast, especially, anybody that reaches out to me, I've never not helped anybody that's asked for the help. But I think we have to put way more into helping, whether it's Sasha's league or anybody that needs the help to get up through my league. And even for us, we're happy. Like last year, Beefy Boys from Fit win the overall. They go to the NXL. It's good to have growth and getting teams out of divisions, so people feel like the champs and challengers thing, where they feel like they have a chance to win again. So I think our whole industry has to look like, we focus so much at the top, but if we don't keep an eye on that bottom, now we're seeing team counts. Like if there's not healthy local and healthy regional, how long until that catches up to it's like the food chain thing, right? The mice go away, the snakes go away, the hawks go, like everything a couple years later comes up the food chain. So I think that's what our sport has to focus on.
Just to say, first of all, Meg, I want to thank you for the help and advice you gave me when I started out this. And I've only been doing it for a year, but one thing I've noticed in the year that I've done it is that just exploded. Like when I announced my first tournament, I didn't think I was going to get, I said to myself, I'll be happy if I get 8 teams in the division. Like that'll be great. I can, have a nice little tournament, wrap it up. No, like I'm selling out to the point where I'm maxing out on 2 fields, all the matches I can have in one day. Right.
And that's great, right? That's why
San
Antonio,
like it's even
Sasha,
crazier.
there's no doubt.
Go ahead.
You single-handedly have helped grow that San Antonio. Like we know Fit is one of the top meccas that there is in paintball. Nobody can debate that. But in Texas, and it has nothing, it's taking nothing away from up there, but San Antonio, like there needs to be something now said. And obviously Houston is very strong. Like David said, there's tons of fields out there. There's a lot of growth there. But by you having that 3-man league, without your 3-on-3 league, and without what all three of you are doing, there is no way we see 30 D5 teams at USXBL.
Right. And the other thing is that I've got teams coming out. I had a team register for my next event from El Paso. So my point there is, I was shocked when people were driving in from Houston, from Dallas, for my little tournament series. Like they should be playing in their own local beginner 3-on-3. Nothing against Johnny. Johnny, what you're doing is great. But the thing is that there isn't really like a beginner level where you go in knowing that the people that you're playing against are unranked. Like there's not going to be that one D5 guy that's just going to destroy you, because we know if you're in D6, like you got people that barely know how to hold their gun properly. And if there's one D5 guy person, that person can just win the tournament almost single-handedly sometimes, right? So, and even worse in the D5 level. So, you know, there's a market out there. So everyone that's listening to this, if you think you can do it, I promise you can do it. Do it at your local field and just run a small little tournament, you know, figure out how to do it. And even if you have like 5 teams, 6 teams, that's great. You know, you've got 5 teams, you've got maybe 8 would be ideal for 3-on-3. Like 8's one bracket, you have them play and you're done. And you don't, you know, you're not going to make a ton of money at it, but over time, it's going to help rise. It's going to help everything, like Mike's saying.
Yeah, I think a difference though too, Sasha, is like for you have X Factor with a walk-on side that is directly pushing players onto your side, because at some point Alex and Jeff and everybody recognize you have to do that. Whereas in like with Johnny and Fit, they do have a walk-on side, but I don't think Mad Dogs wants to send every new player back to Fit and lose those players. So it's a little different for every market, but absolutely fields that have the walk-on all the way up to the airball connected, then yes, having 3-mans is what it is. But like you said, Sasha, you don't do it for the money. And I'm not saying anybody else here does it for the money, but when even 3-man, you can only run 25, 30 teams is an insanely long day to run. It's difficult, you know what I mean, for a lot of the local guys. And I think that's where the industry from top down has to probably send more support down to the local guys, whether it's entry fees through me or entry fees to the NXL down to these guys. Because without that, it's tough for them to hold, like, you know, bear the whole burden of it.
And here's a message in the chat I want to highlight. So Salt Lake area in Utah has a few fields. Just southern Utah needs one. It would be a good middle point for Arizona, Nevada to meet up with people in North Salt Lake City, Idaho. Yeah, like especially in those regions of the country where it's not nearly as lively as it is here in Texas or over in California or some of the other major regions that we consider. This is a great point to start. And that was a goal of this evening's episode, was to be a resource for some of those smaller areas that maybe don't have everything that we have, and to let them know, like, this is possible. This is something that you can build up. But also, like, reach out to anybody that was on this episode for any advice or assistance that you might need. And I think all of these guys would be more than willing to help out.
Yeah. I mean, our whole industry, I think, is there to help, right? Within reason. But a lot of it comes down to, if we're going to be frank and honest about it, and it's nobody in this room, but the level of greed by other, like, we all hear other leagues and we watch what they do. We see the numbers, and there's just not a lot of, and again, it's not about prizes, but it's just a half-assed effort, right? That's value. It's like my SC Village field right now. There's going to be 50 to 75 people playing night paintball on a Wednesday night. Why? Because there's a value there. We bought the hydro lights. We put in a nice facility, nice bunkers, everything. If there's value, perceived value, people will probably come back to it, right? Within reason. But I think there's a lot of leagues regionally and locally across America that are probably used to when times were way better and they were able to make way more money. Now times have gotten a little tighter and they start skimping on the players. And I think that becomes difficult, right? Like before I took over the USXBL, there was a lot of unhappy people. It's okay to say it. I mean, yeah. Sasha's smiling because it's the truth, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of unhappy people. You have to give people a value.
It's night and day. now that you're running USXBL. It's just unbelievable. The only complaint I have is that Texas teams aren't winning anymore. They're taking all our money and going back to Florida,
Louisiana.
In Louisiana. It's incredible to watch the USXBL, but I think Johnny, I do want to ask, could you call Al Martinez and tell him that he needs to buy some of those lights so that we can start playing night ball down here? Because
Game changer.
I would love to run a night tournament or something, but I can't do it. Like Greg Pauly's trying to get me to get the glow ball. We can't do it. So everyone call Al Martinez and tell him.
So,
and I mean, this question was about like the innovations and improvements, right? And I think Paintball Fit is a prime example, in not just here in Texas, but in the entire country, of innovating with the night ball, the glow ball, the Mech X format, like all of the different formats that you guys have been running tournaments for over the years, and like even inventing new ways, like new hardware, new field setups to accommodate more ways to play.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, imitation is the highest form of flattery, and we're all imitating Fit at this point. Like, that's not being funny. We bought 3 sets of their lights.
Thank you very much. But yeah, the glow ball has definitely taken our unique APPAs. So like that's been more of our focus, to instead of doing the beginner 3-man, if that makes sense. So we can get more of them involved. Just because with 3-man, you're very limited on the amount of people you can run the whole time. This is just an easy way we can get a lot of unique players all playing at the same time, and then also playing against other guys who don't know how to hold their guns. Now, like we still have pro players playing against pro players, but they're on other lines. So the beginners don't realize that they're not playing against those guys, and they don't even realize that they're pro. They're just playing on their line 2, and they're playing the other line 2s, and none of them have ever played this format whatsoever. But it's just as intense, and they don't realize that they're necessarily on a lower line, if that makes sense.
An interesting one I heard from JD was that on the night ball, a lot more women are interested in playing it. Correct, Johnny?
100%.
And JD told me that. And listen, I think we all know when JD speaks, even if I don't understand what he's saying, we're like, he's got 100% fact to it. But this is funny. We put up the cosmic paintball thing, and our lights are in from them. We're hanging them right now. And once we put that flyer up, I had so many kids that play in my league, the moms that we all know, the moms of paintball, right? Message like, I want to play that. And, you know, throughout the day, my messengers on Facebook are popping up, and it's just like, I think there was like 4 or 5 different moms that were like, I would play that, because there's nobody judging, like Johnny's saying, how they're holding their gun or if their tank's on their shoulder or whatever it is. They can just go play paintball without judgment. But that also shows in our whole sport, right? Like, we need to take it easy on those new guys, because without them, we're not going to have a customer base.
Yep.
I think the lights are going to be, is going to be like the electronic hopper, the ion to Sasha. Like, they're going to be it's going to be a big mark on that yardstick of paintball, of like big moments in paintball. I cannot imagine how white and black lights, especially as we see like crazy summer heat, right? Like this year out here, knock on wood, hasn't been the worst. I'm sure it's coming now that I said that. But the fact that, you know, at 8 o'clock at night, we can throw the lights on and it's 20 degrees cooler, and everybody here has a turf field, and it's not 145 on the infrared gun on the turf. It's back to 80 degrees on the turf. It's a lot easier to play.
Yeah, I think the lights are a huge step in, like, I mean, you get more hours out of the day suddenly, right? That alone, and suddenly you can play during the week at night. You have just more ways to make use of the hours of the day and the real estate that you have, instead of just, hey, Saturday and Sunday we're open, the other 5 days during the week we're just waiting for the weekend. You can definitely use more of that. And here, Philip has a comment in here. So, has there ever been a league run more like other sports with matches scheduled each weekend? That's kind of what I meant earlier when I was saying like beer league paintball, which I know that's an idea that I've floated around a couple of times, where you play one match, like one a week. Let's say it's a best of 5. You play your 5 points, you go home. And I know guys like the guys over at the Spick and Span show were saying when they did the 15 BPS thing up in Utah, they played their match for an hour, then they went home, and that was it. And they got the same amount of paintball in that 1 hour as you would in the entire prelims at the NXL, but instead of over 2 days, it's just 1 hour. So things like that would definitely there's room for it, and I think that if there are those out there that are willing to innovate a little bit or take that approach, I think there is a market for it.
Problem with the Utah thing, and I gave the guy the X, still waiting for it to come back. Talk about paintball help. The issue is giving $15,000 away to 2 pro teams to have. I'd love to give Johnny 15 grand, but to have him fly to California for a 1 hour thing, I'm really not trying to be negative. I'm telling everybody out there, there is a 0% chance our industry can support that. Would you agree with that, Johnny?
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying, I know for a fact when that was announced, there was $1,000 sponsorships asked of people to help fund the prize package. 0 people came through to my knowledge. And I know some of the big companies that told me they just didn't pay any money because there's no money to pay into it. Like, again, not doom and gloom, but we got to be realistic with this. Like, yeah, it would be great to do that. And Christian, I think to do that at FIT, we have to have a player base for Johnny and the family that's probably 30 minutes away. Because if I have to go to FIT for 1 match or 2 match, and it's a great idea, but I'm not going to drive 3 hours. Like, I know we see him in here. Philip Middleton's in here, right? From Houston. Like, he's not going to go to FIT every weekend to play 1 match and then drive all the way back to Houston. I think travel, and like you use the Utah thing, well, how many flights were having to be bought to get to that event, right? I just don't know if it's cost effective to be able to do it.
And that's where, like, I kind of go back to like the target audience is not necessarily the same, right? You're in situations like that. Maybe you're targeting the people that would maybe do a bowling league instead, or like youth sports. Like, if you're doing like a youth soccer league, then you're practicing 1 hour a week on like a Tuesday night, and then you have a game Saturday morning, and then you go get your popsicle and your oranges and you go home and have fun the rest of the day, right? Like, that's something that I would love to see in pop up more and more. And I think there is one league somewhere in the Northwest that is doing it at a field, and I wish I knew the name of the field in the league off the top of my head, but I know there is.
CXBL used to do that. The Canadian X-Ball League for sure used to do that, where guys, like you said, would show up and play a match every couple weeks or whatever it was. And it led to the end of the year, FIT's 13-2 on the season, like it was a professional sport like football. And then they did their playoffs. But I think that might have needed to be turned into the new style of X-Ball, where there's more event winners because it was tougher to sustain. They were also at 15 balls a second up there, I think, too. And again, great idea, but it's where is our industry headed? We're currently marketing ESPN. And if we use Tom's words from earlier, how many people did he say on the webcast? 500? Our target audience is what? That's just being honest. You know what I mean?
Which webcast was that?
When Tom was talking earlier.
Yeah,
about his, like, everybody, they're putting $1 million into their webcast. Mm-hmm. Not doubting that. Yeah. But it's not like there's 150,000 people watching.
Are you talking about like Major League Paintball Plus?
Yes.
Like that?
Yeah.
There's only 500 people watching at a given time on that. Or
anybody else hear that when Tom said? And he said around, like, I'm not saying that's the number all the time, but Sasha, the other hand, do you think it's 10 or 20,000?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm a subscriber, but I don't.
Here's the real number: 17 to 18,000. That's how many unique IP addresses are playing paintball in Mexico, America, and Canada. North America continuous, 17 to 18,000 since 2009, and those numbers come from APPA. We haven't gone up, we haven't gone down. Right. We've been pretty steady since 2009. So again, no negativity. I'm just being honest with everyone here. If we think ESPN's knocking on the door for the fact that we couldn't beat pillow fighting out, good luck.
Fair enough. All right. So we're here kind of towards the end of the show. Thank everybody again for tuning in live. The final question here brought to us by Get That Shot. Shout out to Carlos. Are there any new or planned things for any of your leagues that you guys have in the works that you would like to tease or announce at this time?
I mean, I'll just announce people have asked me to do X ball 10 man. Like, when you do 7 man, like, I'm sticking 100% to 3-on-3. Sorry guys. Like, that is my brand. That is what if people tell me to start X ball, I'm like, go ahead and start an X ball league, like, be my guest, like.
Well, 10 man's going nowhere. We don't have Tim Montresor anymore. And rest in peace, Tim. Tim did a great job with the 10 man, right? Like, Johnny, I'm sure you guys played when Tim was doing it.
Yeah,
it's because awesome. We all of us that knew Tim on a friendship level, Tim did such a great job on getting 10 man going, right? Like, I bet you Tim was calling JD or one of you guys to talk, to be like, hey man, you need to come support this. Like, he did a job that none of us can do even on our own leagues, and with the ability to get 10 man teams for one event. But since then, it's been a downhill slide. It's tough for Tom to do, right? Like, it's a tough format. It's a cheaper entry, more refs, like, less teams. It's just difficult. You know what I mean?
It's hard to get those guys together. Sorry. Go ahead, Johnny.
So it also got very serious afterwards, where with what Tim was doing, everyone was drinking and just having a great time. Like, everyone was, still wanted to win, but it was almost like an understanding that you could enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. And that was Tim, right? Like, all of us that know Tim is, if at the end of the tournament, I remember, like, when we do our Vegas tournaments, you could guarantee he was out on the strip or Old Town having a beer, having fun at a paintball event and enjoying the journey, not so much the destination. So, and another one is like this 3-man thing. Like, I'm not talking about Sasha, but the 3-man X ball, like, possibly that paintball is going to mutate to that. I don't see how that makes a lot of sense. Like, Christian, you mentioned the one-on-one earlier. Johnny and myself, like, for us as a field to set up a Hormesis one-on-one event, how many teams or players can we run in a day? 32 if we're lucky. And that's right. Like single elimination. We're going to have to charge $100-200 a head plus $50 a case to make the same amount of gross money that we are all currently grossing and struggling to break even on a lot of events, right? I think we can all say that. Like, it would be very difficult. So when I hear the 3-man thing, assuming every NXL team that has extra guys cuts them, those guys reform into new teams, how many more fields would Tom have to set up? Scorekeepers? Yeah, less refs, but still, I just don't know how that happens. So I'll be very interested to see how we as a community mutate the current X-ball format, because it's just going to be difficult. I think I've been around since 10 man in the woods. Like, this is going to be a tough one to break. I think everybody would agree with that, right? Like, the current 5-on-5 repetitive point format is is a tough. Like, Christian, do the Titans want to go play 7-man?
Man, it's I don't know about that.
But do you know what I'm saying? I'm just being like, totally, and even your team. Do you want to cut 40% of your team to play 3-man?
No.
But I think it's going to be very tough for us. This format is so unique and fun for all of us. It's going to be tough. So as far as, like, there'll be small tweaks. We'll always make small tweaks every year in the format. It'll give some people something to focus on this year. But I think it'll be really tough for us as an industry to break this format.
Yeah, and by no means am I suggesting that X-ball needs to be on its way out and replaced with something better. I do think X-ball is a very fun format, and also a lot of things are built around the X-ball format, like the field dimensions, bunker sets, a lot of very tough things that would be have to change if you were to change, like, to 3-on-3 or whatever. A lot of hardware and infrastructure that is
how about the fields?
Over, right?
Like, what do we do at X Factor? Do we cut the fields in half?
Oh, absolutely not.
But it was the same thing when we went from 7-man to X-ball. We went from a 170, or was it 170 by 100 to a 120 by 150. So a lot of fields over time had to, like, phase out the length and the width and, like, make X-ball fields. Me personally talking, I just don't see that happening. I think 3-man at, like, the beginner level, the kids level, all that makes perfect sense.
For sure.
I just don't see a lot of big I mean, do you agree, Johnny? Like, I know you guys, of all people in America, Fit is absolutely trying the 7-man, all the things they're doing and doing well at it. it's just going to be tough. Like, why would Johnny want to go to a 3-man style format for his main events? It would be very tough cost wise too, right?
Yeah, I don't think we would. And I think 3-man, if anything, will play that version if there's a TV deal around it. But I don't think 5-man's going to go anywhere. I doubt it would ever transform into that. I think that would just be a bastardized TV version to make it work with whatever network. But I doubt that even if that completely took off and there's a lot of money getting poured in, I don't think the 5-man format goes anywhere. The 5-man format is significantly better.
Yeah, I want to say 15 years ago when the NXL was coming around, like many of the TV people said they thought there was 3-on-3 Rage in the Cage in Vegas. They had said back then that it would probably go to a mute for TV, like Johnny's saying. But as far as like the grassroots level, I don't see the current 5-man iteration really going anywhere, right? The rate of fire seems to be happy. I can see some one-off events, like people have said in the comments, open events, whatever. Like Astra did the limited paint that we played at Fit. Medals hanging back on that Giant issue jersey somewhere. Like, I think you could see fun stuff like that coming in the future, right? It would make sense for regional leagues like ours to have an open event at them, right? Like one in Texas, and somehow figure that out where, you know, local teams could possibly get to play against Fit or Dynasty or whoever their dream team is, or maybe they think they can beat one of the bottom 3 pro teams, right? Not saying they'd all come support it, but I could see something like that in the future.
For sure. So while we were on the topic, as far as like any new things that you might have on the horizon, David, did you have anything that you wanted to say to that as far as anything upcoming for your league?
Yeah, I'm actually talking or in talks with you know, some of our local fields like TXR, Wasteland, Splat, right? Because we live in Houston, we have nice weather all year, so we can play in December and January kind of situation. So I'm looking into doing some different formats, maybe do like a 7-man street ball kind of situation or something like that. I haven't ironed out the details, but I'm planning to do something maybe very beginning of next year kind of situation.
All right, sweet. Johnny, I mean, you guys are, seems like once a year, it's like, what's the next big thing coming out of Fit? Do you have, I mean, at this point, I'm sure your calendars are already packed full, but you got anything upcoming or on the horizon?
No, not this year. We're definitely working on a new format that we might be introducing next year.
All righty. All right. So I think that just about does it. Let me look through the saved chat messages that I have here. I actually did get one message, 1 or 2 messages on Facebook. Let me look at them real quick. So this one is from Justin Doman. He asked, what is something that either maybe a mistake you made or something you were not proud of as a promoter, and how did it change the way you did things moving forward?
A really simple one. I didn't buy enough medals. So I did 3-on-3, and I was like, I'll just need 3 medals, you know, 1 for each player. But then the roster was at 5, cap was at 5. And so my very first event, not everyone was getting medals. So now I have to I make sure I buy enough prizes for everybody. But fortunately, it's one of the, you know, most glaring mistakes I've made.
All right. Yeah, I'll chime in here a little bit, just as on the 2 1v1 events that I've hosted, as far as something that we needed to change, the very first 1v1 that we did was we stuck with Oliver's joust rules pretty much to the T. We did a 90-minute joust, 21 on 22 or something like that. But we had, in that entire 90-minute block there, with the way that the rules were set up at the time, some players only played 2 or 3 times the entire 90 minutes. And if they lost every single one of those, and they're doing a lot of sitting around. Just thinking about it in terms of all of the players' experience, not just how cool the format is, or like how great it is if you're winning or if you're on top, but like think about every single player's experience and adjust it to where, like, even if maybe you didn't have a great playing day, you still want to come back for the next one. So how I changed it was shorten the rosters, made it so that you have, like, there's no like switching around your batting order until the final 5 minutes, and so it suddenly doubled. Like instead of 2 or 3 spins in the entire 90 minutes, you got 5 or 6 in 60, which was I think a significant improvement as far as the player experience there.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake that I had made was when we first introduced the Mech X ball. We were like, all right, well, there's no prizes, so we don't necessarily need a whole lot of refs because it's not going to be overly competitive, and like everyone understands it's for fun. That went out the window the very first point as soon as Colton Trenton were playing against each other, and they were already mother effing each other, and it was very, very competitive. It doesn't matter that there's money on the line whatsoever, so you couldn't get away with just 4 refs. I needed a full reffing crew, and yeah, there's no such thing as just for fun, even when there's no prizes on the line.
At least not with the Luke House.
Right. Yeah. And we kind of set the tone for the tone. So like everyone's heckling from the sidelines, and it was still a great time, but I'm like, all right, I have to have an entire reffing crew because people are just playing wild out there.
I mean,
I guess for me, the biggest one for me is referees and having enough referees. I got a 3-man event where I had like 35, 40 teams. I had to do 2 fields, which is something I hadn't done at all. And I had enough refs. And then it was one of those situations where the morning of, it was like, oh, I can't make it down. My car's, not starting or whatever situation. And I also had a guy that was like, hey, we're buying a house and we're moving today, and the stuff just showed up. I got to leave. And I'm like, okay. So, having people on hand, I've actually run into a situation where I've had to step in to ref and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think year 1 for me in SC Village, we had no turf out here. It was all dirt fields, and I thought it'd be great. I think it was RS Global out of Dallas. I bought used turf. Didn't know you could find it for even free or whatever, but I bought fields of turf, rolled them out, and I had no clue what I was doing. And I laid the seams the wrong way, and a dude dove snake side, and his arm went underneath that seam that was his way. And that was probably being honest, that was probably the worst mistake I ever made. But if you've never laid down turf, you just don't think about it, right? Like you didn't think about how the seam, if you're gonna have it go anyway, you want it going away from the player where they slide right over it. Yeah, didn't do that one. So, but I think any promoter has made countless mistakes at some point, and if you're a good promoter, you write a note in your notes and you're like, okay, not making that mistake again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Another compressor.
Yeah. I think it was last year we were on the way to one of the events at Fit, and JD's like, I'm thinking about buying some new compressed air bottles to have more bulk. And I'm like, yeah, we can send you money right now for the entry for the event. Like, let me help you help me. Because then I think that same event we had a little bit of an issue. Oh, yeah. And it was like, man, glad we got those extra tanks.
I mean, Mike, you just remind me there's 2 nightmare scenarios for me. One is the second worst one would be David's, where I have to go referee. That'd be absolutely awful.
Well, I'll put you to work, Sasha. Don't you worry.
Someone has to. I like watching you guys do all the work. I just make sure everything. But like someone getting injured at my event is like the worst case scenario to me. Like I had someone at an event where the mask took a dive, or he took a dive and the mask came off. And I'm really lucky I had trained referees that like jumped right on top of that player. But the idea that someone could get hurt at my event, I mean, that's why I think, Mike, when you talked about at your league, punishing or penalizing people for headhunting, for targeting, like we really, as promoters, we have to be sure that players are playing safe, and they have a safe environment, because that could just, I tried to get insurance I have a little LLC, and I tried to get insurance. I'm so small, nobody's going to sell it to me. So basically my insurance policy is prayers the night before the event, right? Because everyone in the blast, as Jeff Wechter told me, like everybody in the blast radius is getting sued in that situation.
100%. So, and insurance is not cheap, right?
No.
Yeah, I called Ryan. I called Ryan Gray for advice, and he was happy to give me advice. But then when I actually went out and tried to get insurance, like my revenue is so small, I'm basically just hoping the X Factor will save me if, Lord forbid, something like that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, they have insurance, so it should cover.
Good hope. All right. Final question. This one's from Ryan Polito. He asks, what is the main hurdle as event owners you see in bringing in new players?
I'll step on this one. So a big thing for me is like reaching out to people. I've been doing this for 6 years in Houston, and I still have people reach out and be like, are you having an event? I was like, yep, it's up. And I posted about it, and I've done a YouTube video, and I've done a live stream, and they're like, can I sign up? And this will be like Tuesday before the event. So a big one for me is like trying to reach new people, trying to get more people to come out. I've actually had moms reach out and say, hey, my son wants to play. Can we come out and just watch? I've invited them down and stuff like that, just so they can kind of see what the process is like and things of that nature. And then like they don't show up. So like, it's just difficult. It's a small community, but like getting new people is very difficult. So.
Yeah, I think you've got to have like stores in the area of like we're putting out flyers, calling people, doing anything we can and just trying to I think a big one in paintball, like we talk about growing paintball, but it's about getting people back. Like we keep seeing our buddies from Elite Audio, which we know is Justin, right? That was gone for a little bit and came back to paintball. I think there's a lot of people that if they come back and play paintball again would probably stick with playing paintball, because even all of us that have ever stepped away for a minute or however long, there's so much fun in it. And I think everybody plans to come back. We just, as an industry, have to give them the value that they need to come back. Right. And I think if we can do that, we probably grow the sport where it moves the actual needle. Right. And we need more people like Fit doing what they're doing in other fields. Nothing wrong with saying like what Johnny and them have done. I am 100% going to copy it on the West Coast. Right. We have to. Like the imitation is the highest form of flattery, and it's coming because it works, right? And being able to reach out to people, like it's kind of foolish to have intelligent friends like the guys at Fit. And, we bought their lights, we support them 100%, but to not ask these questions, like they can kind of help that learning curve that hopefully you don't fail in the process. Like Johnny talking about mech, any format we put on, people are going to be competitive. Like, I think the same thing, like if you took Trenton and whoever it was, Brody or whoever, to the go-kart track, they're going to be putting each other on the wall, right? Don't bump. Cool. One lap in, you're the out of here. You know what I mean? Like we are all in paintball hyper competitive, and that's part of the game, right? But just learning things like that. And I think there's so much info. Like I think Splat Houston said they want to reach out. Anybody can reach out to me. And with the USXBL in regards to Texas, we would love nothing more than to help anybody however we can, right? Within common sense reason, we hope to help everybody. So that's kind of, I think each, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston have to be strong, and those local areas have to be strong, the regional strong, and then hopefully Tom's numbers grow and our sport actually does good, and the vibe picks back up to where it once was when we all experienced paintball in its glory days. I think other sports see this too, right? We've seen it with like skateboarding and surfing and BMX and motocross. Like you see ups and downs, right? And our economy's bad. I think once our economy picks up, everybody sees a bump, right? Yeah. But it's tight right now.
All right. So I think that just about does it, guys. Thank you for lending your expertise here, your experience on this. Everybody, go follow all of their leagues on Instagram. Go sign up for their events. We got the at SAT3v3 for Sasha, at Houston, Texas Paintball for David, at XTPL events for Johnny, and then at Play WCPPL and at USXBL for Mike. And then, of course, NXL Paintball for the NXL. This final question is going to be brought to us by my team, the Texas Titans. We're doing a fundraiser raffle. Head over to the Texas Titans Facebook page for more info. Grand prize is a custom anodized Lux Idol, anodized by my former company, Technique. So, go check us out. So, do y'all have any final thoughts, shout outs, things you'd like to say before we sign off?
I won't get to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Sasha.
Oh, I was just to say, I think there's a place for 3v3 and 5v5 isn't going anywhere. 3v3 I think has a big future. It sort of got lost, and we're doing shout outs now. Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Yeah. All
Or
right.
any final thoughts?
Oh, I just want to shout out Todd Green and Jeff Wechter at X Factor, who made this whole thing possible, and especially Albert Martinez, who always shows up since day one to help me run this event. Of course, Alex Martinez for his amazing park, and my 12-year-old Vincent for going out there and making a family business. Thank you. And thank you, Mike, again for the support.
Totally. I'm truly glad to help, and I'm even happier to see your success. We talk about it within our, me, Ryan, and Tracy. Obviously, we know the advice definitely helped, but I think it was a podcast you watched and you were super fired up after it, and you reached out to me and the ball started rolling, right? And that's awesome, because if we had 50 more promoters in paintball like yourself in their local areas that were doing it, we would really see a big jump. So way to be, Sasha. Like that, your credit is self-deserved, right? Like you've done it yourself, and glad to be a friend.
Thank you. And everyone hearing this, like, you can do it too.
Thank you, Philip.
Absolutely.
So for me, I said it earlier. So John Jackson he's at Wasteland Pro Edge Paintball. He's helped me a lot creating what is now HTPS, and so I have to shout out him for sure. And thank you for having me on tonight.
You want it, Johnny?
Yeah, I'll shout out the family, all of our teammates back at the field running Nightball right now, and help us do everything that we do out there. And then shout out to all the players that not just play our league, but all the other leagues in Texas. Without you guys, none of us can keep waking up and trying to do what we do. So I appreciate it. We just keep playing.
Definitely. For me, my wife, my best friend, my road dog, like she's always out there. She's running the field right now with our kids up at SC Village. Polito, all of our staff, Andrew Harris, all the refs, everybody, the players, obviously. I think we're all humbled by the people that support us, no matter how big we get in this industry, knowing that everyday people support us and like really have our backs out there, I think is big, and everybody Fit was the first one to open the door to me. I'll always be loyal to Fit. That's home to us. But, Alex and everybody, and Mark and Billy and everybody that opens the door and is gracious to us. I always leave Fit and I always take a picture as the sunset in Waxahachie as I'm leaving. And last time I was there, I thought to myself, like, I'm pretty lucky to get to work with the greatest fields the world has to offer, right? From Texas to California. And next year, I'm sure we'll add some more into the rotation in other areas. So for us, like super humbled, like the word is only humble, right? Like super lucky and all the friends out in the chat, the people that support us. Paintball's cool, man. There's no place I'd rather be. A bad Sunday at the paintball field is still better than a good day at work Monday through Friday.
Yep.
So, and Christian, thanks for all you're doing out there. I know you're doing your best to keep, Texas paintball relevant, and there's so many subplots and sub stories that I wish I could write more articles, because there's so many cool things happening out there, more than we can all cover, right? And even mention.
I mean, shoot, there's 6 or 7 paintball podcasts right now in Texas alone, and we can't cover everything. So yeah, thank you guys for your time, for tuning in. Again, be sure to go follow everybody's different leagues over on Instagram, sign up for their events, and yeah, just get out there, participate. Or if you're wanting to host your own event or have your own idea, you need some help, reach out to any of these guys. So what other guests would you all like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Central here on youtube.com/@Major League Paintball. Recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Quick shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon: Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Bem Raps, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, San Antonio 3v3 Series, 71 Designs, TexanHemp.com, QBRofficial.com, and Splat Zone Trinity 3-Man. Lastly, thank you to Major League Paintball for hosting tonight's show. We will see you guys next week for episode 158. Gentlemen, take care. Thank you so much.
Later, guys.
In the Pits is partnered with the Splat Zone Trinity 3-Man Paintball Series. The series had an explosive entrance onto the Texas scene in May, with the opening event bringing in 25 teams across Beginner, Division 5, and the Open 3v3 X-Ball divisions, just one team shy of selling out. My ref crew will be brought in once again to ensure the event is run fairly and smoothly. Want to play beginner but don't think your gear can keep up? Splat will have multiple setups on hand to make sure everyone is on a competitive playing field. Registration is live now for the August 10th event, so head to PB Leagues and lock in your spot today. In the Pits is partnered with QBR. Are you seeking to heal and recover from the toll that paintball puts on the mind and body? QBR has the solution for you. Head to QBRofficial.com and use code PITS10 for 10% off of your order, plus free shipping. QBR, they don't sell broccoli. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs. Owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including World Cup Pro Champions Paintball Fit. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with the San Antonio 3v3 Paintball Series. The series provides local players with an affordable, fun opportunity to experience the excitement of tournament paintball and has already seen events sell out. I personally am the head referee for the series and I can't wait to see you there. Visit SAT3v3.com for details on upcoming events or head to PB Leagues to register your team today. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these Golden Eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with Texas pro player Jared Sherman. In a world where saving time means making money, Jared's local seed bank is making waves in Texas. Carrying a large assortment of Texas-approved varieties for use in the Texas Hemp Program, seeds for novelty use, as well as premium genetics bred for solventless extraction, Jared Sherman has the ability to satisfy even the most sophisticated collectors. Head to his website and use code INTHEPITS for 10% off of your orders. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, Super 7s, U3v3, even Glow-in-the-Dark Mech X. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous Paintball Munching Contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is a local Texas videographer with numerous events experience filming on the Major League Paintball Pro field. Needing coverage for an upcoming event? Message him at getdat_shot on Instagram and let him know In the Pits sent you. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram.